Hello, welcome back. My name again is Christopher Jayawardena. I am the person behind Dark and Moody Productions, and today I'm doing another video review. As I had said before, this is mostly to help support other local and independent artists, in this case filmmakers, to kind of review some of the content that they have for sale and to say kind of some like recommendations and things like that. So last time, we decided to cover Joe Sherlock's Drifter, which was a wonderfully wild grindhouse style shot on HDV, delightful little slasher splatter movie. Today is going to be very different. So Crazy Right is the story of a man named Paul who is dealing with the loss of his wife. We are never quite informed in the first half of the picture what exactly happened to her, but we know that some sort of tragedy has befallen their relationship. And as he's going through his house, the house that they shared, clearing out old things, he finds this tape recorder, and on it is recordings of her voice and these conversations that they had. And you begin to realize that some of those conversations may not have happened yet, or they're kind of things are sort of happening out of order. And that's where things start to get interesting. What this film comes down to more often than not is this kind of hypnotic like head trip into this character's mind, and getting to watch Patrick, as playing Paul, discover the sort of the gaps in his memory and trying to put those pieces together, and yet not always knowing for sure if there is going to be a final clarity even at the conclusion of the film. It's a nonlinear form of storytelling that I feel is much more emotional. It's sort of like how it's a stream of consciousness that is guided by emotional impulses rather than trying to thread things together in a very clean, symmetrical narrative. There are three things that make Crazy Right stand out amongst the other Portland-made feature films. This is a pretty, I should say that there's a pretty typical style to a Portland indie feature. They're often pretty artsy dramas. They are bummer, typically have some sort of psychological, ennui or some other, dark element to them. A lot of them have rape. This one has implications of it, but doesn't really go there, unlike some other pictures. And so after a while, you start to kind of keep feeling like, okay, this is the same thing again and again, Crazy Right, on the other hand, the three elements that make it stand out. Most immediate thing is the visual style to me. The cinematography done by Nathan Coltrane is wonderfully visual. There are shots in this that, for the budget of what kind of film this is and kind of the scale of it is, especially as a bubble movie set in one location, they did a lot of really impressive shots. There's stuff with rotating cameras. There's amazing long takes. I mean, I do not know what tripod head was used, but I want one because, my God, to get those pans so smooth is just mind-blowing.
How well do you remember things?
I don't follow.
You have a good memory or a bad memory?
When it comes to the two leads of Patrick Green and Lindsay Cline, this is really some of the best work I think I've seen them do. Patrick Green obviously is like, if you're familiar with Portland, Oregon filmmaking, you probably have heard of Patrick Green at some point or another. He has a wonderfully emotional style, very vulnerable. I mean, this guy like is almost masochistic with the way that he has to throw himself into these at times very brutal and heartbreaking, traumatic roles. That being all said, I have to say, when I saw this second time, Lindsay Cline was absolutely the scene stealer for me. There's warmth and fear and seduction and malice and anger and sorrow. And Lindsay rises to that challenge, I felt, fantastically in this picture. She's one of the, I think, most subtle and complicated actors that I've seen their work in the city. And then the third thing about this film that I feel really makes it stand out is that Ian Fowler has this distinctive style of impactful drama that almost uses like the traits of like suspense and thriller, noir, and horror filmmaking to give you this sort of jolt and energy. The other thing Ian also does a fantastic job with this film is that he tries to keep the pacing very smooth. And that's something to be, I think, commended for with a lot of artistic filmmakers that do this well, because one of the issues is that as a genre filmmaker, you have a tendency to be constantly trying to please the audience, so you're making things a little snappier, as is anyway. When you kind of get more into the artistic side of doing a film, and I've even fallen into this pitfall myself, to be perfectly frank, is it's easier to get more into that sense of, well, but it's important for the movie, it's important for me. And things get a little too sacred at that point. And what I appreciated in Crazy Right is that it's still a very lean narrative, despite the fact that it could have become far more tangential than it is. And it stays very much on track and on point. It's a powerful piece of work. To be honest, when I saw it in 2017, I considered it one of the 15 best films I had seen that year. Another reason that I wanted to make sure to give this film focus is that Ian Fowler is in the middle of trying to do his next feature film. Punched After the Fact is currently on Seed and Spark as of today, which is, I believe, let me just check. It's April 18th, 2020. And it is still on Seed and Spark. Really highly recommend that you go out and support the picture. I'll have the link in the description below. And that's another reason I wanted to come back to this, was to sort of give Ian a bit of a boost, because I love this film and I'm super excited to see what he does next. The cast he's starting to put together already, the cast and crew, I think it's going to be fantastic. In conclusion, Crazy Right is, I think, one of the examples of the Portland drama done well. It's also something that is using those aspects to tell its own unique and very personal story. It's a very powerful piece of work, and I really hope you go take a look and check it out. It's currently available on Amazon Prime, so it's included with Prime, and if you don't have Prime, it's like, I think, $2 for a rental or something like that. But make sure you go out and you watch it. If you like this kind of picture, give it some love. Go check out anything else you can find from Ian Fowler. I think 1 or 2 of his shorts are finally up online on Vimeo. I'll have to double check and put some links down in the description below. And yeah, and please go support Punched After the Fact on Seed and Spark. I'm following that project and looking very much forward to it. And so anyway, so I think that's going to be all for now. I think there's not much else I can discuss, and I'm getting tired of having to redo these takes. Doing these types of vlog things kind of sucks, to be perfectly honest, if you're not in the best of moods. But hey, anyway, movies are great. This movie is fantastic, and I hopefully will see you guys next time. We'll be covering something kind of in the middle between this film and Drifter. It's a bit of a family movie. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Take care of yourselves, and viva.